Luciano Pavarotti, Placido, Domingo, Jose Carreras. The name of outstanding Ukrainian singer Anatoliy Solovianenko is among these virtuosos. Today's program, Ukraine on Stage, focuses on this famous musician. The destiny of this man is coded in his name, Anatoliy Solovianenko. Indeed, Solovey means nightingale in English, so fans and representatives of the press called him the Ukrainian Nightingale. Even today, people remember about this great singer. Theaters, streets and schools are named after him, and concerts are held in his honor in his native town. He's a singer and artist who went far beyond the national framework. I was lucky to be acquainted with Anatoliy Solovianenko.
Мені пощастило бути добре знайомим з Анатолієм Борисовичем. Я з ним був в особистому контакті дуже гарному.
We were good friends. We presented Ukrainian art abroad and in sister cities in Eastern and Western European countries.
В Східній Європі і в капіталістичних на той час країнах.
Після земного буття Анатолія Борисовича.
Anatoliy Solovianenko's commemoration meeting was held at the Ukrainian embassy in Italy after his death. A placard with the inscription Anatoliy Solovianenko, a voice that speaks with the whole world, hangs on the wall in the main hall of the embassy. And it was the truth. Despite a ban to present Ukrainian art abroad in the second half of the 20th century, when none of the Ukrainian artists left the country, Solovianenko was an exception, presenting the Ukrainian opera school on the world stage.
Ніхто з українських вокалістів навіть не виїжджав за кордон.
He was first among Ukrainian singers to be invited to perform on the stage of the Metropolitan Opera in New York. Audience and journalists gave very positive feedback, and Anatoly received some very attractive offers. Many years after our returning from New York, I learned that Anatoly had been offered to stay in America. He even did not tell me about that because he understood it was impossible. Later, when the Soviet Union collapsed, we were allowed to leave Ukraine, so we moved to Italy. In Italy, as well as in other countries, Solovianenko was offered very favorable conditions for working. He obtained a permit to stay, he was admitted to the trade union of artists, and he was offered to participate in concerts and opera performances. In 3 months, he said, "Svetlana, I like Italy very much, but if I stay here for a month, my attitude to it will change. I want to go home, want to see my Ukrainian fans again." He expressed feelings typical for a son of his homeland, rather than showing some pathos of patriotism. He felt best at home. Anatoliy Solovianenko was grateful to his teacher Alexander Korobeychenko during his entire life, remembering all of his instructions and keeping all the stage costumes that were handmade by his tutor. The stage costumes which are preserved in the museum window cases are the same ones he dressed when he performed on stage. He always took them with him when he toured. There are also exhibits from Solovianenko's house. Among them are his piano and his personal things. In 1972, Solovianenko's family moved to a small village outside of Kiev, Kozin. Here, the singer rested, got inspiration from the local natural habitat, and prepared for his performances. Today, the Anatoliy Solovianenko Museum is in Kozin. It was opened by the efforts of local activists and the family of Anatoliy Solovianenko. Different people visit our museum. The elderly and our fellow villagers, who were acquainted with and remembered Anatoly. But the main aim of our museum is to introduce his creative work to youth. So students, school children, and even kids from kindergartens visit this museum. Anatoliy Solovianenko Jr., who became the creative theater director of the National Opera of Ukraine, took the relay baton of his father, Anatoliy Solovianenko. Today his son is working on the staging of scenes from the opera Taras Bulba, written by Lysenko. He sang an opera part from Tosca several times while on tour, but never in Kiev. He dreamt of singing the part of Radames in the opera Aida. He prepared for it, but he did not succeed in singing it. He did not sing the part of Radames because he thought that he would sing it at a more mature age. But it just so happened that Aida was not staged at our theater at that time. It just so happens that the desire and ability of artists often do not fit into the acting repertoire list, in particular at a repertoire theater such as the Kiev Opera. But Solovianenko Sr. successfully sang his favorite parts at other theaters. He was fortunate to sing on the stage of the Metropolitan Opera, where Franco Zeffirelli was theater director and the bandmaster was Giuseppe Patane.
Для нього сцена, опера, вокал було понад усе, завжди. І він, звичайно, скористався
Stage and opera were supreme priorities for him. He worked with stage directors at the Metropolitan Opera in New York with great pleasure. It created a true masterpiece and was highly successful. After that, Anatoly returned home and sang a lot of parts at the Kiev Opera House.
Цю ж оперу, це «Кавалерія Рустікана», воно ставилося в нашій опері теж, він вже співав тут її також.
Both young soloists of the National Opera and singers who were lucky to sing together with the maestro on one stage are performing in today's concert on the occasion of the anniversary of Anatoliy Solovianenko. I worked in the Yavir Quartet. We had a concert tour in Canada. Artists from Ukraine were also there. Anatoliy Solovianenko was among them. I remember a lot of people in the concert hall in Toronto. I remember how the audience warmly welcomed him, and how he sang and how he was proud of representing Ukraine in Canada. Diligence, self-discipline, and fanatical devotion to the profession of Anatoliy Solovianenko are subjects of legends. Everything in his life was subordinated to the main thing, the big stage. He got up early in the morning, even if he had performances late at night. He did morning exercises, ate at a buffet luncheons, and after that he played a musical instrument to warm up. He never spoke loudly, he never raised his voice. His father was a miner who worked in a mine all his life.
Не повышал голоса даже в разговоре. Его отец, он был шахтером. Всю жизнь проработал в шахте. Я никогда...
I never heard him swear. Nobody in the family ever spoke in a loud voice. So our family adopted these very commendable habits.
Это перенеслось и в нашу семейную жизнь.
Anatoliy Solovianenko was a great intellectual. He had a good command of Italian, reading the press in the original language. He was interested in various technical innovations because he was an engineer by education. He was interested in everything around him, especially music and art.
Він завжди готувався і завжди хотів бути у формі, вийти і заспівати. Він ніколи себе не жалів, він ніколи не співав, знаєте,
He always prepared for his performances and was in a good voice. He never goofed off. He devoted every one of his concerts to the audience, regardless of whether it was in New York or in Жмеринка.
В Америці, Нью-Йорк, чи це буде Жмеринка.
Он всегда говорит о том, что духовность – это самое...
He always said, spirituality is the main thing in our life. The soul of every man and child has to be full of such spirituality.
Тоже наполняться этой духовностью.
Це справді артист екстра класу і справді народний.
He's ultra class and truly a people's artist because everyone in Ukraine knew who he was. The more talented a person is, the closer they are to the people.
Справді вона досягла це своїм талантом, а не якимись такими кулуарними справами. Вона більш доступна і більш проста така в спілкуванні і близька до людей.
Серед солістів, ну взагалі, як серед людей.
There is a certain rank among singers, as well as among average people. I mean achievements in science and the arts.
Я маю на увазі
Anatoliy Solovianenko was at the top of the rank. He sang in different halls and auditoriums, and the audience always warmly welcomed him.
Найгарячіші сприйняття.
In July 1999, the heart of the Ukrainian nightingale stopped beating. He died in his sleep. It is said that in such a way God takes righteous persons to the heavens. Solovianenko is buried at the Calm Village Cemetery in Kozin.
Ви знаєте, і жаль, що він ще був в такій моці. Він був в такому розквіті.
He died at the peak of his prosperity and creative flight. What a pity that the bird flew and broke its wing. He could do much for the development of Ukrainian culture, song and opera and upbringing of new opera singers.
І в вихованні майбутніх співаків.
As to upbringing of the youth, Anatoliy Solovianenko left a mark in this sphere. In 2000, the Anatoliy Solovianenko competition was organized in the singer's small motherland, Donetsk, but unfortunately, due to the hostilities, it was temporarily postponed.
Я думаю, що з часом ми прийдемо до конкурсу імені Анатолія Борисовича.
We will resume holding of the contest in the name of Anatoliy Solovianenko, but for this, we need a stable economic situation in Ukraine, because preparation for the contest takes several years. I would like the contest to be worthy of the name Anatoliy Solovianenko. Of course, it would be great to revive the competition because it could be a good beginning in the career of young singers. Meanwhile, the name Anatoliy Solovianenko speaks for itself. Ukrainian Nightingale, Mining Duke, a voice that spoke with the whole world. All of these epithets are addressed to the outstanding singer and wonderful person, Anatoliy Solovianenko.
Pensier